Have you ever been sitting in a room and someone who you feel may be very attractive came into the room and you kind of started to feel small or started to feel insecure? Are you one of those people who put a lot of emphasis on physical beauty? Are you one of those people who have the tendency to feel envious? Are you one of the people who have very compulsive thoughts or just can't ever get anything out of your mind? If you are one of those people, as is I am, we are going to sit down and have another therapist talks, because those are some of the questions that I had for my therapist last week. Let's get into it. So it's your girl Lanice and I'm here with another video. Today we will be talking about what me and my therapist talked about last week. So today is another therapist talk. Last week, the week before, my homework was to do a little bit of research on decision making, and that's what I shared with you guys. So the last session I had with my therapist, we did go over what I learned about decision making, and we did come up with a process. That's one thing I didn't share with you guys because I didn't know that was a part of the homework too. We came up with a process on how I can make decisions for myself. And once I test that out and see that it's tried and true, I will share that with you guys. But after we talked about decision making, I had some questions for my therapist. And the ones that I just spoke about in the introduction of this video were, those were the questions that I had. I struggle not only with anxiety, not only with depression, but I also struggle with something that's called an anxious preoccupied attachment style. So I naturally just feel, to be honest with you, very unworthy. And so I will date guys and they will find me attractive, they will find me funny, they will find me cute, they will find all these good things about me, but I did not, or I do not, because I'm working on it, I'm not gonna act like I'm not, don't really see what everybody else sees in me. So I'm one of those people that a lot of people are like, I wish that you would stop being so hard on yourself, or I wish that you can see what I see in you or what everybody else sees in you. I very rarely have someone that's very close to me and knows me on a deep and intimate level that has not either told me not to be so hard on myself or has not said it's kind of cliche, or might even be a quote, but you don't see what everybody else sees in you. And it's like, well, I want to, help me get there. But nobody's done it yet other than my therapist. And that's with no smear to anybody, because it's nobody else's job to make me love myself or like myself. So I love everybody that said that to me, but I had to start going back to therapy because I want real answers and I want real steps and I want to know what the freak the work is, so I can start to see what everyone else sees in me. Okay, so I asked my therapist, and I'm sorry, today is going to be a pretty short video because the answers that she came with were very short and to the point. And the challenge, she didn't really give me any homework this last week. She just challenged me to do something, which I'll share with you towards the end of the video. And since I love you guys so much, just like my nursing videos, I have my handy dandy composition book. And I wrote everything down just for you. So again, the questions that I asked my therapist, just in case you didn't catch them all at the beginning of the video, where one was, if I feel, so I will be honest with you guys, I have began to take medication for my mental health, and I will do a whole nother video on that. I'm not really in a place where I feel like talking about that right now. But my first question for her was about physical feelings, because as I stated before, I have an anxious preoccupied attachment style, and when I get triggered by certain things, I feel that feeling in my body, and the only way to free myself of that knot or that fight or flight feeling that I get, I do compulsive things. In relationships, I text and text and text. I don't give you any time to text back. With friendships, I'm constantly replaying the interactions that I have with my friends, and I'm constantly apologizing to them for things that happened yesterday that they're not even thinking of anymore. So ever since I've been taking this medication the last couple weeks, I haven't really felt that anxious feeling in my body. And I'm wondering, like, I asked my therapist, if I cannot physically feel my emotions, how do I know that they're still there and I'm not just numbing myself? So what she explained to me was, it's not that the emotions aren't there anymore. It's just that physical feeling is starting to lighten up, or, you know, it may not be there anymore. So you're better able to think through those emotions and process them and realize that they are just emotions. And you have to be able to decipher between emotions and facts. And a lot of times we will intertwine the two. We will get them very confused, and you can't, you know, and then you'll start acting off of your emotions. So she told me that now that that fight or flight feeling, that anxious feeling that I'm having is gone, the emotion is still there. I'm still gonna probably feel, if something is painful, I'm still gonna feel pain. I'm still gonna be hurt by it. If something is exciting or funny, I'm still gonna have the urge to laugh. I'm still going to have the emotions, but now I'm able to better think through them because that physical feeling in my body is no longer there. So I don't feel the need to react compulsively or impulsively. And I will have to admit that I've never been an advocate of medication, mental health medication, because I don't like medications, period. Even as a nurse, I don't. But I will say that since I started taking this medication, my anxiety has came down a lot, and that fight or flight feeling is not there anymore. So I'm able to really process stuff, and I'm able to really focus on what needs to be focused on at that time, because I'm not having those compulsive thoughts like I used to. I hope you guys got that. So anyways, my second question for my therapist last week was, how do I stop putting so much into looks and body style? So I am a dark-skinned African-American woman, if you cannot already tell. And yes, being black, being dark-skinned, being beautiful, having full lips, having a wide nose, having nice chocolate skin, I don't have a wide nose, but a lot of us do. It is praised nowadays. It's almost worship nowadays. But I'm 32 years old, and when I was 6 and 7, it was, I don't want to say frowned upon because that makes it sound terrible, but it was not the thing to be dark skinned. I was bullied terribly growing up. I mean, everything, I was basically taught and picked on for everything that made me me. And I didn't have an advocate there. My grandfather was an advocate for me, and he played a very huge role in my upbringing. And my grandfather was a very dark-skinned person. My mom is a very dark-skinned person. And my mom, she worked a lot. We won't get into that. That's okay. But my grandfather, he used to keep me, and he passed away when I was 13. But I remember when I did used to go to him and tell him what the other kids would say about, or pick on me about my, you know, the complexion of my skin. He would always tell me that, one, people are intimidated by color and people are intimidated by size, which is very true. That's why black men are feared in our society now. So, you know, he told me that, but when I used to tell him what the kids said about me, he would also tell me that the darker you are, the more beautiful you are. And at the time, I didn't believe it, you know, because it was so many other people in my ear telling me that I wasn't beautiful just because of my skin, that I just felt like I wasn't. And so now I put a lot of emphasis on beauty, to the point to where at times, if I feel like a woman is beautiful, she can open up her mouth and not be able to speak a full sentence, but she can be beautiful and I will automatically feel like she's up here and I'm down here just based on looks. And that's not healthy, because beauty is not, it's important, but it's not as important as I make it. And I will get into the answers that my therapist gave me later on down the line, but I want to make it through these questions that I have from my therapist. So also I asked my therapist, I'm just being completely real and completely honest and vulnerable with you guys, because I know there's someone out there who is struggling with these same things. So when I read you the next question, please don't think I'm diving off the deep end. This is just how my brain works, okay? And we are trying to get out of it, all right? So my next question was, how do I stop the thoughts that lead to the behaviors that lead me to do the social media stalking and looking at other posts? And if I like a guy, I'm gonna go and see if he liked this girl's post, if he liked that girl's post. I'm gonna go and see how many new followers he has. I'm gonna go and see like who his new followers are, if they're girls, if they're any of his exes, like all that. And that is not healthy, especially the way social media is made up nowadays. That is not healthy. So that was the next question I asked my therapist. How do I get out of that? I asked her, how do I stop feeling envious due to me putting so much emphasis on beauty? I'm sorry, I'm looking at my notebook. And then I also had this weird obsession with astrology. We won't really get into how deep it went with me, but I did have a very deep obsession with astrology. And my last question is, how do I replace the thoughts? Because one thing that my therapist told me on during one of our like sessions in the very beginning was, you don't stop thoughts. Your mind is going to constantly be thinking thoughts. That's what it's there to do. It's there to help save you in times that you need to be saved. It's there to make you feel better. It's there to make you feel worse. Your mind is just constantly thinking thoughts all day. And so I wanted to know, how do I stop the thoughts? And she told me, she said, you don't stop the thoughts, you replace them with better thoughts. So then I asked her, how do I replace these thoughts? That's what I want to know. How do I replace these anxious thoughts? Because that's like how bad my anxiety had got, to the point to where I'm like, when my anxiety is bad, my behaviors that follow are like, you don't want to be the person I'm dating at that time, okay? Because my behaviors get pretty bad. And it's all because of my thoughts. My little dread sticking out here. So to kind of just get into a couple of the points that that my therapist made to me was, for one, you stop becoming envious of people when you realize that people are imperfect. That person that you think is beautiful, that person that you think has the job, your dream house, your dream life, they too are imperfect. And they too have their own struggles. I don't know how many people that I know that are beautiful, but they're terribly not honest. They're liars. They're terrible liars. Or how many people are not that attractive according to society's terms, and they are beautiful people on the inside. And the more I hang out with them, I'm like, dang, like I would be with you if I were a guy, because regardless of what you look like, you're cool, you're funny, like you're dope, you know? And when you realize that people are imperfect, you kind of take them off of that pedestal, because even though you don't know what their imperfections or flaws are, you know that they have them. And some people are better at hiding them than others, and some people are just very nonchalant, so they don't come off as having problems because they keep them all internally. So when you realize that people are imperfect, that will definitely help with the emphasis that you put on beauty or the issues that you have with envy. Another point that my therapist made, so to kind of explain to you how she came up with these points, she actually told me to take a moment and write down what I know about people. And I was like, what? I was kind of lost. So she kind of led me into it. So she was like, well, people are imperfect, you know? And I was like, well, people change their minds, you know? I've dated guys who told me, I'm not very into dark skinned chicks. You're the first dark skinned chick I've dated. but they changed their mind. You know, they changed their taste. Their taste changed once they started dealing with me. Or, you know, people, one day people like vanilla, the next day they might like chocolate. Like, people change their minds, and everyone's taste is different. You know, what I find attractive, my homegirl be like, him? Like, you sprung off of him? Like, girl, you can do better, you know? So her taste is not my taste. So just because you're super sprung off this dude don't mean the next chick want him. Don't nobody want him but you, sis, you know? So everyone's taste is different. And she was like, Lanice, society is jacked up. Like, they put so much emphasis on beauty to sell us products. They put so much emphasis on beauty to sell us surgeries. They put so much emphasis on beauty for, you know, for all sorts of things. But what is the definition of beauty? And when she asked me that, I'm like, I don't know. Like, how do you define what beauty is when beauty is defined by a society that changes their minds, where everyone's taste is different, where no two people think the same? You know, now, don't get me wrong, people are predictable, and there are some people out there that are just beautiful. But she was like, another point that she made was that majority of the world is average. You know, you have the elites that are very rich, you have the homeless that are very poor, sad to say, but most people are in the middle. Their looks, they're in the middle. Their money, it's in the middle. Everybody just about in this world, on this world, is average. You know, you have some people that are above and beyond, and you have some people that are at the other extreme, at the very low, but majority of the people are average. And so another point she made is, if you shift with society, you lose yourself. And when you lose yourself, you feel down on yourself, and you automatically kind of feel like everybody is better than you, or, you know, you're not really worth much, because you're putting yourself, you're putting your validation, your worth into society that consistently changes, that doesn't really know what the definition of beauty is. So you get my point, right? So another point that she made was, if you continue to find all the things wrong with you and you discount yourself, you lose yourself. I don't really feel like that needs much of an explanation, because it kind of goes into the other points that I made. But just remember that if you discount everything that is good about you, you lose yourself. What else do you have? If you discount everything that's good about you and you only find everything that's wrong about you, then what is there to love if you only find the things that you don't love about yourself? Think about it. So the next thing she told me was, it should be hard for you to find the things that you don't like about yourself. You should know so many things about yourself that you do like, that the things you don't like about yourself, you're either, you know, kind of working on them, or they don't overweigh the things that you like and love about yourself. Because again, if you discount all the good things about you, you have nothing left to love. So it should be hard for you to find things that you don't like about yourself. So the next thing that she shared with me is that I need to start doing I am statements. Because if you don't say I am beautiful, you'll never believe it. So whatever it is that I am statements, before I even started seeing my counselor, I had read and heard that I am statements, or I am affirmations as some people call it, are very helpful. They actually work for some people. So you have to look in the mirror and you have to tell yourself who you are, because if you know who you are, nobody else can tell you who you are. So she told me to continue to look in the mirror, and since I put so much emphasis on beauty, I am beautiful. I am. So that's what she told me to do. And then she also told me the things that I don't like about myself. Ooh, my camera flipped. The things that I don't like about myself, if those things could change, how would they change my life? So, you know, she asked me, when I look in the mirror, what do I see? I told her I see somebody that's thin. I'm not as thin as I was. I am getting my weight up, but you know, I'm not as thin as I was. But in the African American community, like, most women are paying for BBLs. It is very prevalent or prominent, or I don't know what word I'm looking for, brain fart, but it's very common for a lot of the African American nurses, especially. I work with so many nurses that for hours a day, the conversation at work is BBLs. They've either had them or they're preparing for them. I have friends that we sit, and I fall victim to this too. I have considered getting one myself, I'm not gonna lie. But we sit at work and like we have like collages and like picture on picture. You would think that this is a guy's phone because they have picture on picture and swipe on swipe on swipe of butts. And it's not because they have a fetish with butts, it's because they're preparing to see what kind of butt they're going to get when they go have their BBL. And so she asked me, you know, what do you see when you look in the mirror? And, you know, I told her I see somebody thin. And so she said, so, okay. She's like, so what would you change about that? I said, well, I would want to have a bigger butt. And she said, okay, well, if you got a bigger butt, how would that change your life? And I had to really sit there and think. She was like, okay, because if you got a bigger butt and it attracted more men, don't you feel that that would be attracting men for the wrong reason? Yeah. And if you got a bigger butt, what kind of job would you need? Or what would you need a bigger butt for? What type of job would you need a bigger butt for? You're a nurse. Yeah, I definitely can't take care of patients better with a bigger butt. And so how would it benefit you, Lanice, to be heavier, thicker? How would it benefit you to have a bigger butt or bigger boobs, other than trying to find more men to be attracted to you? And I can't imagine that being something you really want. She was like, if you sit down and really talk to a lot of women who have big butts, they tell you that it brings them a lot of attraction, unwanted stares. You know, they don't like being sexualized or objectified. So what would it do for you? And I'm just like, I don't know, but I think I still want one. You know, I really had no answer for her. So, you know, so this week she told me to challenge myself to look in the mirror naked and find out everything that I love about myself, everything I find beautiful about myself. She said, because society or the world will pigeonhole us into what beauty is, or this idea of beauty. But again, like I said in the beginning of the video, how can you determine what beauty is when the world doesn't know what it is? And beauty is literally in the eyes of the beholder, and everyone has different tastes, and people's minds change every day. Like I said, being light skinned was in, now being dark skinned is in, and now just being black period is in. And definitely wasn't like that 80, 90 years ago, 10 years ago. So, you know, the world will pigeonhole us into this definition of beauty that is, when beauty is really undefined, you know? And so she told me to challenge myself to look in the mirror and find all of the things that I find beautiful about myself, all of the things that I like about my body. She told me to practice I am statements, because if you don't tell yourself you're beautiful, you won't ever believe it. You will believe everything other people tell you, but you won't believe it yourself. So she told me to practice I am statements. I am beautiful. I am smart. I am athletic. I am caring. I am you know, we'll figure out some more, okay? And then she said you have to, she said once you believe these things to be true, you will start to act from that premise. So again, that's where my questions about my behaviors come from. How do I stop these behaviors? Because going back to the question I had about going and social media stalking, or going and feeling envious, or feeling smaller, or acting getting quieter around very beautiful women, she was like, once you believe that you're beautiful, you won't have a reason to act that way anymore. And she also told me that going and comparing myself or looking at other women on social media or doing those behaviors is kind of a form of self-hate, because I only do it because I don't like who I am. I only feel that way because I don't like who I am. So anybody else that's kind of going through the same thing or thinking about that, just notice that that's self-abuse. It's a form of self-hatred, self-sabotage, like things that you definitely don't want to be doing. So yeah. And she also told me to find women who are similar to me. And then once you feel like you found that group of people, you know, are they strong? Are they feminine? Are they caring? What is it that attracts you to those women? Because those are usually qualities that you have within yourself, but you feel they're repressed within yourself. So find your own tribe. And she also told me that she was able to it was easy for her to pick up on. She was like, I'm sure you have a hard time fitting in. And I never told her I had a hard time fitting in. I am a very social person. I have friends from all sorts of backgrounds. And she was like, I was like, so I never really thought about how hard it is, or how I really don't feel like I fit in. And I just asked her, you know, how did you know that I have a hard time fitting in? She was like, because how can you fit in when you don't know who you are? She was like, I can imagine how lost you feel if you don't know who you are, or you don't like yourself. You tend to try to be like other people, and when you're trying to be like other people, it makes it hard to fit in, because nobody wants to be around anybody that wants to be them. And it also just, it makes you feel very lost and lonely in the world. And I'm just like, wow, I really love therapy. Like, I really am beginning to love therapy. I don't know if it's this particular therapist or what it is, but I feel like I'm starting to get the answers, and with the medication I'm really starting to feel better. And I mean, I just gotta thank God for that. So anyways, my name is Lennox, and I am here, or I was here, or I came here, or whatever I'm supposed to say, with another video. Today was a mental health video. I hope that you guys got something from it. I was just trying to share the points that my therapist and I went through, give you a little mental health check-in. I'm feeling good. I'm looking good. And I really and truly really just hope that this helps someone. You know, I'm trying to put my pride to the side, as Yo Gotti said, and just be vulnerable with you guys, because I'm glad I'm getting the help that I want, or that I need. And I want other people to not be afraid to get that help too. And that's all I'm here. All I'm here for. You know, I'm just trying to put my cape on and save the world, you know? So anyways, this is a mental health video. I also give you guys nursing videos, and I also give you guys lifestyle videos. I spit a little bit, hope the camera didn't catch it. And I am done for today. I hope you got a laugh, I hope you got a smile, and most importantly, I hope you got some good information. I'm out. Peace.